But I want to address Rabbi Berger's objection. Berger says that it is the overwhelming tradition of Jewish people that Messiah has to remain alive during the time of his being Messiah in saving and bringing the Geula, the redemption, to the entire people of Israel, to the entire world. And that there's no way that Messiah can die and then be resurrected. And that this is the unanimous opinion of all those who engaged in the disputations with Christianity. First of all, the disputations are not law. Those who don't know this, the disputations have many spurious statements, within them many statements that were questioned by many, many great people. And if they had the force of law, then nobody would be able to question some of the things that they said, including some silly things that they said. I mean, clearly silly things that were said only in order to win the argument or to deflect a criticism. The core of Rabbi Berger's statement was that Nachmanides, for example, says that Messiah cannot die, and there's no such book and no such attitude. Anybody has that attitude is not a Jewish attitude. Stating that, and stating that a person who believes in that is considered a heretic, is a far reach. In other words, Nachmanides says in his disputation with popular Christianity that whoever believes that the belief that Messiah ben David will be killed by his enemies is not mentioned in any Jewish book. Now, taking that statement and reversing it and saying that if you do believe that Messiah, son of David, can die and then come back, that this is somehow rather a heresy, this is taking it far beyond what Nachmanides says. Nachmanides doesn't say it's heresy. Nachmanides says it is not mentioned in any Jewish book. That's number one. Number two, what you fail to state and acknowledge is that Nachmanides makes a distinction between what happened to Jesus, which is he was killed by his enemies, and so many other details that he mentions there in the disputation. Those things were never mentioned by any Jewish book, that this is going to happen to the Messiah. So first of all, it could mean all of those things, number one. Number two, even if you're going to say that the death of Messiah by the hands of his enemies is not mentioned in any Jewish book, that's talking about where Messiah gets killed. It's not talking about where Messiah might die, because that already is found in a Jewish book. It's found in Sanhedrin, in the Bavli 98b, and it's found in Brachos, in the Yerushalmi, in the second chapter, beginning of the second chapter. And that is clear that it says that there. And all the twisting and turning and machinations that you can go ahead and take it out of its simple context doesn't make any sense. I've already proven that on other videos. But I want to reiterate, the claim that you make that Nachmanides says that is just not true. It's a lie. Nachmanides addresses that this belief that Messiah will be killed by his enemies is not mentioned in any Jewish book. You will not find this in any Jewish book. A Mashiach, the son of David, will be killed by his enemies is not found in any Jewish book. It's the only thing that he says. And he does not say the converse, that if a person believes that, he's considered a heretic. In fact, take this into your peace pipe and smoke it. In the Laws of King, chapter 11, the end of Halacha 4, in the unedited version of Rambam, where he talks about the criticism against Christianity, he identifies three criticisms why Jesus cannot be considered the Messiah, why this is a terrible, terrible thing that happened, and a stumbling block for the entire world. What is the number one? That he got other people to believe in a God other than the one God, Jesus. Number two, he negated the commandments. He got the people to stop fulfilling the commandments, which is the opposite of the role of the Messiah, who's going to get everybody to believe in one God and get everybody to do the mitzvos. Number three, Messiah is coming to save Israel. Messiah is coming to build up the kingdom of Israel. And Jesus' followers caused the death and destruction in the diaspora of many millions of Jewish people and death of tens of millions. How could you say that this is the Messiah? So his three objections, belief in God, the negation of the commandments, and the attack and the reduction, the humiliation of the Jewish people, these are his three objections. If the belief in a dead Messiah's resurrection would be such a heresy, Maimonides should have mentioned it right there. And on top of that, they believe in the heretical belief of the resurrection of a dead Messiah. He doesn't say it at all. Why? If it's such a terrible thing. The answer is, it's not a terrible thing. You can believe in a resurrected Messiah that's not against the Torah. That's why he mentions the other three. And so, if I'm wrong, prove me wrong. And I want to address the people who've addressed me and attacked me for disagreeing with Professor Dr. Rabbi Berger on these videos. How dare I start up with someone that is so learned and got such great titles and accomplishments to himself. Most of those accomplishments are secular. Secular studies, pursuing a doctorate, pursuing a bachelor's and a master's and a doctorate, generally take up time and take away from a person's learning of Torah. They also are in a venue that's not in accordance with Torah, and therefore, by their nature, cause a reduction in the fear of God, in Yiras Shamayim. Now, there are some people it doesn't affect, but for the most part, it does affect people. For that reason, I quit college and never came back to college. So, to attack me because I'm attacking somebody that's got so many titles and so many distinctions and written so many articles, most of those things in the secular venue, that's not what makes Torah great or makes great Torah study. And even if you're going to say that in the Torah study that his knowledge is so great, just accept the following. In this particular area of who the Messiah is, I spent a lot of time examining what the truth is, to try to find the truth for myself. And as such, I'm just as qualified as Professor Berger to issue an opinion on this particular detail. And in this, I have issued a wager that if what I'm saying is not true, $1,000 says I'm saying the truth, and he's not